So, yeah, amen. So I'll start by saying I voted against the Chiefs, because I read in the room here. Now, I voted against the Chiefs deal. I agree with everything that Michael just said, and that's why when we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm a big fat no on this. I voted against it for two reasons that were not any of the reasons that he said, but I'll explain why. The first thing is I asked my constituents, and they did not want it. And so I told them, if it's going to raise your taxes 1 cent, I'm not going to do it. And the Star Bond, fun fact, the Chiefs Stadium, economic development-wise, is great for Leavenworth, because we're not in the Star Bond district, but my house is 20 minutes from where the stadium's going. It's pretty awesome, right? So we're kind of getting the good side of the deal. But the reason I still voted against it was, first, I told my constituents, if it's going to raise your taxes, I'm not going to vote for it. And the KCK mayor, the previous one, was all over TV saying, well, if we're going to put this in, it's going to take all our revenue, so I'm going to need to do an earnings tax, a 1 cent or 1% earnings tax. I could stand here right now and name 6 people within 2 blocks of my house that work in KCK or in Wyandotte County. It would raise their taxes, and so I voted against it. It was an easy vote. Well, it got a lot of pressure, but it's either right or it's wrong. But the other reason I voted against it, and I got to tell a story in order to get back to why I voted against it. So, you remember sports gambling? You remember that, Bill? Midnight, it came to us 3 times. We voted it down twice, or we voted it down once, maybe twice, and it came to us a 3rd time, and they kept like sweetening the deal, and one of the things was this sports attraction fund, right? And we were hearing, oh, we're going to make all this revenue off this. We're going to be able to do away with property taxes. We're going to make so much money on gambling. Well, first of all, I sort of have a philosophical disagreement with the state profiting from something that hurts people. And I won't get too deep into it, but my wife has a family member that has struggled with gambling her entire life. We at one point had to completely bail her out, like totally, like pay off all her credit cards and everything and get her back on her feet so she didn't have to declare bankruptcy. So I couldn't go home if I voted for this because, with current gambling, the limiting factor is you have to go to the casino to gamble. But with, sports gambling, the casino's right here. And you can gamble all day. You can lose your paycheck, without even getting up off your couch. And so that was an easy vote for me to vote against. But while we were hearing all these things, a guy named Francis Awerkamp, who's from a little bit east of Manhattan, and a guy named Paul Wagner, who's my vice chair in elections, he's from Hutchinson. They had crunched the numbers on this, and they were up there on the floor saying, or up in calendar and in the caucus and on the floor of the House, saying, you're not going to get anything from this. Because the bill was written by the casinos, and the casinos had made themselves a monopoly on sports gambling. And Francis Awerkamp showed all the states where they had let the casinos run it and how they had gotten no money. Paul Wagner went into the language and showed that, you hear on the radio, your first 200 bets are free, or $200 worth of bets are free. They're claiming that against their profits, so we're not getting any tax money. We're getting tiny, tiny amounts of tax money because of they're giving away all these free bets to get people hooked on sports gambling. So I could, you could just smell, the crooked in the room. And I don't want to, I'm not attacking any of the legislators who voted for it. People voted for it for a lot of reasons. Some folks, they got a casino in the district, it's good economic. And there's a million reasons to vote for it. But to me, if you have to talk yourself into doing something that profits off of people, through deceit, probably not a good thing to vote for. That's my opinion. But what does that have to do with the Chiefs? Well, on the day of the Chiefs, but you'll remember the Chiefs vote happened. The governor vetoed our tax cuts. We didn't want to go back on an election year without any tax cuts. So she called us back into special session, and this Chiefs thing got plopped on top of the one-day special session. So we had one day to debate it, vote it out. So I knew the fix was in. You could just smell the crooked in the room. And and we didn't have, because we didn't have the time we had on sports gambling. Sports gambling went on for weeks. We had a whole session on it. We had one day. So there wasn't anybody who could really crunch the numbers and dig into it and figure out what was crooked about it. But I could just smell it. Something was crooked about it. And so I voted against it. Like I said, an easy vote for me. I mean, it was easy to push the no button. I felt very good about it. The calls I was getting all day from lobbyists and from people, the lobbyists, was not fun, but doing right is always easy. Well, usually easy. So here we are, a year, the Chiefs are taking the deal, and we finally see the Star Bond District. Because we didn't see, all of us in that room thought the Star Bond District, okay, a stadium sort of oval shaped, so the Star Bond District is going to be kind of this little oval next to the racetrack. Oh, no, no, no. The Star Bond District is all of Wyandotte County and half of Johnson County, all the stuff that they're not doing any development to at all. And that is how they had cranked the numbers to make that giant bond work, was they were going to steal the state's property or sales tax growth for the next umpteen years to pay off this bond. And so I could go on about this for days. I don't want to grandstand, but I've been proud to serve in the legislature, and it was really a hard decision to run for Secretary of State, because some of the best people I've ever met have been in the legislature. I had all the same preconceptions everybody had about politicians before I accidentally became one, but there are a lot of good people up there. But we spend so much of our time up there not fighting for our constituents, but trying to protect one industry from competition from another industry, or trying to pass these mega monster bills that are going to make billionaires multi-billionaires. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. We've only got 90 days a year. I wish we spent less of those days on this stuff and more of these days on making life easier and making business easier in the state of Kansas. So.